We're like, ah.
Hey everybody!
We're live!
We made it. We had some technical difficulties at first. Sorry about that.
It's not as easy as you think it's gonna be. Alright, so we'll give it a minute, just see if anybody wants to pop on. I don't know how this all works, so this is totally new for us. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so for those of you that don't know who we are, I am Dr. Szyminski.
I'm Dr. Zimmerman.
And we are chiropractors from Williamston Sport and Spine here in Williamston. And one of the things we really wanted to do this Facebook Live and talk to people about the new information that's been released by the American Heart Association. It's got a lot of people really confused, which is rightfully so. It's very confusing. There's a lot of information out there, and I think people just don't know what to believe anymore. So we're going to help you kind of sift through this all and explain to you what this all means for you.
So basically, just to kind of take down the main point from this study, which was really not a study, it was a meta-analysis of other past studies, recent, old ones. So they do a strategic statistical approach to basically combine all these studies and come up with those results and then come up with their conclusion based on all those studies put together that they've picked. And the main thing that comes out of this, the main point, was they want you to replace saturated fat with polyunsaturated fat. And based on the collection of all those studies that have previously been done, maybe years ago, some fairly recent, you'll have a reduction in risk for cardiovascular disease. Okay, so that's the main point. So the reason why we wanted to do this is so many people are still afraid of fat in general. So they're talking about two different types of fat. And I want everyone to be clear, because we talk about fat a lot in our office, is that they're asking you to replace one kind of fat with another kind of fat.
Right.
So this whole 50 years ago mentality of no fat, low fat diets, things like that, that's not what we want, okay? So they're not asking you to cut fat out of your diet. They're not saying don't eat fat anymore. Oh wait, we're wrong. They're just specifically targeting one type of fat, and they want you to replace it with another type of fat that they found in a collection of studies to show a reduction in cardiovascular disease. So we just want to make that clear, that fat is still as important as it's ever been. All the new information on why fat is good for your body, that has not changed. So remember that. They're just talking about replacing fat with fat. So we just wanted to talk about why fat is important in general. Okay,
yes.
So all fat, what does fat do? Remember, fat is a form of energy, right? So it is a very clean, smooth fuel that you need.
It's a quick energy.
A quick energy.
Yes.
It's long, it's sustainable. You can use it. Your body will pull off it. Even after it uses up all your carb stores or sugar stores, it will use fat long after. The other thing that we like to make a huge point is fat is needed to absorb vitamins like A, D, E, K, all your fat-soluble vitamins. If you're not eating fat and you don't have fat in your body, you're going to be deficient in those vitamins. You need them. So if you're doing a low-fat, no-fat diet, you're not getting all the nutrients you need. Your body can't live that way, and the only way we're going to get those essential vitamins is if you eat them through food. So that's another reason why fat's extremely important.
Yes, so one of the things that we're really big on in our office is vitamin D, and we sell it in a liquid form, and it is emulsified in fat. So your body can very easily and readily absorb that vitamin D. So if you're taking some sort of a vitamin D supplement and you're not taking it with fat, or you're not eating it with fat and it doesn't have fat in it, then there's a good chance that you're not even really absorbing that vitamin.
Yeah, so you need to take vitamin D with fat unless you have bought a supplement that has it emulsified
of a lot of
with
vitamins.
It. So you need to understand that. So fat is extremely important that way. The other thing is that we get essential fatty acids from fat. Now, essential fatty acids, the key word there is essential. Essential means that your body does not make them on their own. Oh, there goes the dogs.
That's live. That's live for you.
But so your body has to get them from food. So the best way to do that is fat. Fat is a good source for essential fatty acids. Your omega-3s, your omega-6s. Those are good sources of fat. So what do those do? What do essential fatty acids do? Brain function, nerve function, controlling inflammation, blood clotting. All these are major bodily functions that we need fat for. So the other big one is hormone production. Testosterone, estrogen, all your your steroids in your body, we get those from fat. Cholesterol, all that stuff comes from fat.
Yes. So ladies, if you are having issues with your menstrual cycle, maybe it's irregular or you have amenorrhea and you're not having one at all, you have PMS, or you're having thyroid issues, even acne, this is a problem with your hormones. You have a hormonal imbalance, and you should look to your fat first and foremost.
Now, hormone irregularities are a big issue right now and can be causing a lot of underlying problems that a lot of people just don't know about. Now, you can get very extensive into testing those things, but one way is just to start with your fat intake. Are you consuming the right amount of fat in your diet? Are you intentionally, purposely putting fat into your diet? Maybe you're doing like a low-calorie diet right now because you're trying to lose weight, but you feel really, really terrible. You are losing weight, but you're stressed, you're depressed, you're fatigued. Look into your hormones. It's probably a fat imbalance. You're not eating the right kinds of healthy fats and you're not getting the right amount in your diet. Or maybe you are dieting, you're exercising, and you're not losing any weight at all, and it's really problematic and it's really struggling. You're probably not balancing your fat properly in the proportion of food that you're eating. So that's why those things are important as well.
A lot of these hormonal imbalances are really coming on the heels of this whole trend of low fat, no fat. And we're finding, oh, oops, we weren't supposed to take our fat out. It's kind of important. So
yeah, so just to go back to that main point, the AHA isn't telling us to stay away from fat. They were replacing one fat with another fat, and the fat that they were replacing was saturated fat. Now, saturated fat, the reason why coconut oil became the big target is because of its high percentage of saturated fat in coconut oil. So coconut oil became the poster child. It was the bullseye for this. It's really popular. You see it everywhere, Whole Foods, whatever. Everybody's cooking with coconut oil. It's a big, big trend. So what we wanted to address is there a purpose for coconut oil? Is there health benefits to coconut oil that maybe isn't in vegetable oil, soybean oil, corn oil, all these other oils? So is there a reason to eat it? And if there is, how do we minimize the risks and eat it in a healthy way? So the main thing is why did coconut oil become so popular? The main thing is it has a very high smoke point.
right.
Coconut oil, being a saturated fat, means it's a very stable oil. You can cook it at extreme high temperatures where it's not going to oxidize and go rancid. Now that's important because when oils do oxidize, it can cause cellular damage in your body. It can cause free radicals in your body that you don't want. So that's why you really want to have that stable oil, and coconut oil can be cooked at an extreme temperature. So if you're going to cook foods that require an oil, that was the benefit for coconut oil. So that's why it really kind of jumped on the scene, because of that stability factor.
Yes, but not only that, probably even more importantly, it became so popular was because of its content of medium chain triglycerides, or MCTs, as opposed to other oils which contain long chain triglycerides, or LCTs. So these medium chain triglycerides are really easy for your body to break down, and they are used immediately as energy. They're a very quick and clean fuel source. The LCTs, they require other enzymes to break them down. They're really hard on your digestive system, and they're stored as fat. So these ones, the MCT became extremely popular, and people were using it and throwing it in their coffee and all kinds of things because of that.
Athletes have been using it. It's a great form so that you can actually sustain weight loss. It's fat burning because that fuel is different. It's quick energy. You're not storing it as fat. So you're actually going to be able to control your appetite better. Right. So that was another big thing. So instead of an MCT that's just in a pure form, it's just a lot of it in coconut oil. So some of those studies are misinterpreted. It's not a heart thing. It's just really a performance thing. So if you're trying to lose weight, MCTs are a better option for you. So that's a fat that actually helps with fat burning. So that's important.
And not only that, but coconut oil is basically anti-everything. It's anti-inflammatory, antiviral, antifungal, anti-parasitic, antibacterial. It is extremely healthy, and I mean, you're getting all of these benefits in one oil, so people were taking it almost medicinally. And it's very good for you for that purpose. So not only are you getting those healthy MCTs and that fat, but you are also getting all of the healing benefits with it.
With your food. As you're cooking your food, you're getting those antimicrobial benefits as opposed to another type of oil that's not giving you any health benefit on top of it. It's just something that you can cook with that maybe isn't as high in saturated fat.
Right.
So, with the fact that coconut oil does have healthy properties that aren't in other oils, what are we supposed to do now knowing that it is so high in saturated fat?
Right.
So what this means is you have to balance your food prep, okay? We're gonna break it down to very simple facts. We talk about this at the office a lot. You're gonna hear us say the word fiber a lot. It's fat, fiber, and protein, okay? Now when you're eating a whole food version of fat, fiber, and protein, which we mean real food, we're talking about real food, really natural food, not processed, not packaged, not all that other stuff. If you can just dump that out of your diet, that's gone, then you can balance your fat, your fiber, and your protein. Your fiber is going to be represented in your vegetables, your real vegetables, your good leafy, roughage vegetables, high dense fibrous vegetables, not your unrefined, potatoes and things like that. Your good vegetables, because that
Right.
fiber is going to clean you out.
Yeah, so when you're talking about cholesterol, the key is fiber.
Fiber.
It's huge. Just think of fiber literally as a broom that goes through and just sweeps through your body and cleans out all of that cholesterol. So that is really key. So you have to look at your diet and say, am I getting enough fiber? in
Be
my
honest with
diet?
yourself. When you look at your plate, you're like, is fiber represented in this meal? Because you need it. It is vital. It is essential. That's going to help with your fat control. That's going to help with your appetite control as well. I mean, it really matters to get that fiber in your diet. And most of the time when we look at our food, it's just not there.
Right.
So what I really want you guys to focus on, because we've covered a few points, is one, the AHA is just telling us to replace one fat with another fat, but we want to make sure the only way that we're going to do that is with food control, food prep control. You want to limit fatty foods that are French fries, nutrient deficient, greasy foods, things that are cooked. It doesn't matter if you cook it in peanut oil or corn oil. So what if it's not coconut oil? It's bad for you. There's no nutritional value in that food. So it's going to be high calorie, high fat without any nutritional value.
So you want to really focus your diet on being anti-inflammatory. That's really key. The precursor to all disease is inflammation. And cholesterol is just your body's response for inflammation. So that's the key, is really focusing on an anti-inflammatory diet.
Focusing on that cause so that you're not stressing your blood vessels, so that you don't need that extreme cholesterol response, because your body is eating a well-balanced, moderate diet. So if you're getting all that other junk out of there, your body, if you're purposely planning out your vegetables, your fat, your protein, you don't have to worry about over-consuming saturated fat or coconut oil. You don't have to worry about over-consuming calories, because your diet is going to be selective. It naturally is going to do that for you, because you're not going to snack. You're not going to grab things you shouldn't grab. You're going to be long-lasting. You're going to be more satiated. Your appetite control is going to be there. You're not going to spike your insulin. So you're just going to be more well-balanced. Your hormones are going to be under control. So
we all love when hormones are under control.
It's easy to get out of control with saturated fat when you're grabbing snacky things like, let's say, a bag of chips like this. Okay, this is a very small, little tiny bag that has 10 grams of fat, half of which are saturated fats. And in the ingredient list, there's no coconut oil in this bag. This is made out of canola oil, okay? So remember, saturated fat is not just in coconut oil. It is hidden in lots of foods. It's in all other oils. It's even in olive oil, which we love olive oil. Olive oil is great, but there is saturated fat everywhere, okay? So just because...
It's a blend. All of your oils and your fats, they are a blend of different kinds of fats. So some are just higher than others in certain ones.
So I would recommend, if you're going to do a stir fry with good vegetables, good protein, and you do 2 teaspoons or 2 tablespoons of coconut oil to get your fat with that food, that's going to be much better for you than this, okay? That doesn't even have any coconut oil, but you're not getting any nutritional value, and you've already reached 10 grams of fat right there.
Right.
Okay, so that's how we're trying to get you to balance it out. It's not necessarily one-dimensional. Now with that study, it's really easy to say it's one-dimensional. Okay, just cut out saturated fat, but it's not that way. It's how you prepare your food and what food you're preparing. Okay, you would never fry chicken or anything in coconut oil. It probably cost you $200. You know, a little tiny jar is $20. So coconut oil, it's a tablespoon at a time. I don't know all these people that everyone's so concerned are over consuming on coconut oil. Generally, they're eating a lot of vegetables. They're eating a very well-balanced diet.
Right.
And we're just not ready to all of a sudden switch ship and promote vegetable oils, corn oils, soybean oils.
We're past that, folks.
Because we don't need that kind of food. We're not preparing meals where we need that kind of oil anyway.
And keep in mind, you know, when people talk about, you know, other oils like soybean oil, soybean is a phytoestrogen, which means that it mimics estrogen within the body and it leads to estrogen-dependent cancers. It is very harmful to your body and you want to absolutely stay away from an oil like that. So these are the kinds of things you have to remember. Just because they're saying, you know, maybe eat a different oil, you have to remember some of these are partially hydrogenated. Even though you think that they're healthy, they're still maybe not that healthy.
So you have to see, you know, some things can be bad for you, but you want to know what's the good in that thing. So if you have an oil that is really just, okay, well, it's not as full of saturated fat, what are the health benefits? If it doesn't have any, then we need to find ones that do. Mm-hmm. Well, there are a few other oils that you can cook with, like algae oil can actually be cooked at a higher smoke point.
Higher than even peanut oil.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you wanted to deep fry, which don't deep fry.
Right.
But
if you have to use a lot of oil at that high temperature, you could use algae oil.
Yes.
Okay, that is going to be a monounsaturated fat. Olive oil is still a great choice for low temperature or no temperature. If you're just going to throw it in a salad, we eat olive oil. So it's not like you need to eat a ton of coconut oil. And even though coconut oil is getting thrown under the bus, it's just one of those things that it just needs to be balanced in that diet, and you can still consume coconut oil. You can still consume saturated fats. The AHA isn't telling us that we shouldn't have any saturated fats. They want you to keep it around 10%. Now, we do eat higher than that. We personally eat more fat, more coconut oil than the AHA recommends, which that's fine for us.
Because we're ketogenic.
Because we do ketogenic most of the time.
Right, we go in and out of it.
We go in and out of it. But the thing is, I'm always skeptical of everything. This one here, if you guys come to our office, I mean, she's into crazy stuff sometimes, I think. And she's always like, try this, you got to do this, I want you to do this. And I'm skeptical of everything, okay?
It takes a lot of convincing.
It's like, oh, this guy said this is true, that guy said this is true. I like to, what's the science in this? I want to know, what's the science in this? Well, the proof really is in the pudding. So I have my blood lipids checked. I get my lipids checked. And
we do.
We both do.
We do.
I want to make sure that I'm going to stay in those normal levels. And if I'm going to make a severe lifestyle dietary change, I'm going to check them again as I'm well into that plan. Now, it is an inconvenience. It is a pain. But let me tell you something. Cardiovascular disease, strokes, hypertension, all that stuff, that's way more expensive and way more of an inconvenience than getting your blood checked once in a while. So that's what I would recommend. Don't trust anything that we say. Don't trust what you see on Good Morning America. If you're going to do something dietarily, you need to make sure you check your lipids. Exactly. And it's easy to do. Yeah. It's an easy test. You can go down to Sparrow right down the road, have them check your lipids.
Yeah, if you're a patient of ours, we're more than happy to send you out for that as well. So you can always ask us to do that, and we can help you to kind of get that baseline.
Yeah. So again, let's go over our points. One, the AHA, the study, everybody was confused. It wasn't a study that was telling us not to eat fat. It was saying replace saturated fat with polyunsaturated fat.
Yes.
We think that maybe it was a little misguided in the fact that they're recommending vegetable oils and soybean oils, which we feel like have some negatives to them.
And margarine.
And margarine and things that we just have known for a few years maybe aren't so great for you. But you can replace those maybe with an algae oil if you really need to cook with. But the idea is if you're eating a whole food diet, a whole food high vegetable fibrous diet, you're not guzzling gallons of oil anyway. So
right, that's key.
That's key.
Your diet is key.
Your diet is key. How you prep that food. And coconut oil does have benefits to it. So if you keep it in moderation, you don't need to put your head in the sand. It's not, I'm pro coconut oil, I'm pro against coconut oil. It's do it in moderation. Everything in moderation is going to really benefit you.
Exactly. So lot of information.
A lot of information. We got rambling for a little
There's so
bit.
much more information that we could go over, but we wanted to keep this as simple as possible, and I'm sure that there are still a lot of questions. So if you have any questions about fat, or even what the American Heart Association has recommended, just post them below, and we're going to go through and answer any of those questions to the best of our ability. If you have never met us before, we just want to say hi and hope that you will like our Facebook page and keep up with what's going on. We are going to be doing another Facebook Live, so
Very soon.
Stay tuned for that one. Yeah, and then we're going to post a link underneath to a video that's just really funny.
It's just a funny video.
It addresses this whole situation, but in a really funny and lighthearted way. So we're going to post that for you guys as well. Hopefully it wasn't too long.
Yeah, hopefully it wasn't too long, wasn't too boring. Hopefully you got a little bit out of it. We're not saying that information that they came out with this summer was bad. It's just people just didn't understand it. Fat is very important. We need to get it in our diet.
That's the key.
If you're going to limit saturated fats, there are other alternatives to the old school vegetable oil. You can do other forms of oil to eat healthy, and it's how you prep your food and what kind of food you're prepping is really going to make the difference. That balanced approach, making sure you're getting the fiber, I said it again, fiber, getting your proteins, eating your vegetables, and then intentionally putting a fat in there as well is really going to regulate your hormones, regulate your appetite, all that good stuff.
Exactly. All right, guys.
Make sure you like the page.
Yep.
Thanks for listening.
Have a great night. We'll see y'all soon.
See y'all soon.
Bye.